Okay, hey, I think it's working now. Yay. Don't ever expect great technological achievement from me. Welcome to a sort of impromptu, unplanned Aaron live show. I was on Mike Miller's Drawn and Quartered this week and then Friday Night Auctions as well, and picked up several new sketchbook orders. So I thought, hey, if I'm going to draw them, why not draw them live so you guys can watch? So that's basically what I'm doing. Good, we got a few people joined, so that means I'm actually live and on the air. So I don't have a lot planned. I don't have a song and dance number prepared. Don't have a lot of jokes, so we're just going to get right into the drawing. I will do a quick plug of this. Let me zoom in. If I can find my cursor. There we go. Yeah, okay. So this is my hardcover sketchbook, 20 years, pardon me, raw imagination, 20 years of sketches. It's by me, of course, there's my name to prove it. Most of you have probably seen this, but if you haven't and you want to get a copy, it's available right now for $25, or if you'd like a head sketch shot inside the book, that's an additional $20, so then it's $45. I am offering free shipping this weekend. So if you want to get one, you can order it by going to Aaron at contacting me through my email at aaron@aaronlopresti.com. Go to my website, which is aaronlopresti.com. Message me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and you can get one of these from me. So let's turn the camera off me. We've certainly seen enough of me for one day. And let's get down here and start working. And of course, when I say let's start working, I mean me, not us. So you get to watch while I get to work. Let me move this camera. It's going to be like a California earthquake. I've been through a few of those, so I know. Okay. First one I've got here today. Randy says, hi, Aaron. And Randy, I say hi right back to you. Randy actually got one of these sketchbooks, and I mailed it off Friday, I think. Also, be aware that I ship these media mail, so that's to keep the shipping down, obviously. But it also can take up to 7 to 10 days, especially if you're back east. I'm on the West Coast. So be patient. It will get there. And I do wrap everything really, really well, package everything well, so you're not going to get a damaged book. And in the really rare occasion that might happen, I would replace it. So you really have nothing to worry about, nothing to fear, but fear itself. All right, first one I'm doing is classic, mind you, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, if you go back and take a look at classic Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., you will find that he looks like Jim Stranko. And I think Jim was really the first guy to, and I call him Jim because I know Jim Stranko, so was really the first guy to do, well, Kirby probably was when they, first did Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was in Strange Tales 135, pretty sure. But Stranko really sort of was the guy that made him something. And so you look back at those drawings and the stories and you go, yep, that's Stranko as Nick Fury. He kind of made him look like himself, which, I don't know, maybe we all do that to a certain degree. Draw ourselves into our comics where appropriate. Although when I was younger, I was much more heroic looking than I certainly am now. I would have to be like the character actor, like the old guy that, gives sagely advice to the hero, or maybe a diabolical villain, but an older villain, of course. I used to get accused of, when I was in film school, I used to get accused when we do projects and short films and things like that, that I was picking actors that looked like me. And I was like, I didn't see it at all. But when I took one class, the teacher goes, "Is that you? That better not be you," because we weren't allowed to act in our own films. We could act in other people's films, but we couldn't act in our own. So I guess I did pick guys that were sort of looked like me a little bit. So I certainly wouldn't do that now. Let's see. Benjamin Lee says, "Hello, Aaron." Hello, Benjamin. Good to hear from you. Has anyone ever asked you to draw Dum Dum Dugan? No, and hopefully they never will. No, actually, he's kind of fun. He's got the big handlebar mustache and everything, so that would be actually would be fun to do. And Randy says the Stranko Shield covers are classics, and indeed they are. And I have all of them. Well, I have all the from the series. I don't have all the Strange Tales ones. I have some. We'll go ahead and rough this in. Actually, that picture's actually showing up fairly well, as at least comparatively to what I'm used to. I understand why they don't do these streams in high def, because I just imagine the amount of internet power, or however that's defined, would just be enormous. So we have to take it in the funny thing is, it wasn't too long ago before we had high def that we were all just sort of like, thought our low definition televisions and monitors was totally fine. And then when you actually see the high def, it's like night and day. And now we can't live without high def. That patch is intruding on his nose. I have to move it over. Let's see. Haha, you want to pick what is most familiar to you, characters who look like you. Yes, well. Gotta be careful here that I don't have Nick looking too young, because he was he's not a young dude. But one way to make a guy look old is stick a cigar in his mouth, right? Because Nick Fury, he ain't afraid to smoke. He used to take that serum that keeps him young. Too bad he doesn't share that with the rest of the world. Gotta give him a little more chin, man. So I don't know, he must have given his Howling Commandos that same serum to keep him young, because they're all like Dum Dum Dugan is like part of his, shield entourage. So he must be liberally sharing that secret formula. There's got to be a story that was done at some point that tells how and where they got this formula from. All right. I can weather up his face a little bit. I'm inking here too. So while I'm inking, I'm using the dreaded Le Pen 0.8. Got to remember to give him his little Reed Richards gray hair down there too. I'm trying to remember when I first started going gray. I don't think I was as old as Nick Fury. Working in comics will do that to you. Freelancing and never knowing where your next job is coming from. It's creates a little bit of stress. And then 2 kids, you know, that'll always give you a little bit. So I'm very disappointed, of course. I'm sure as many people are that San Diego got canceled. I was really hoping I'd be able to pull that off, but because I would go. I know Reed Pop is trying to do Emerald City again in August, which I'm going to sign up for. I don't know if, although I guess the governor of, I know Benjamin Lee, I think you're from Seattle area, aren't you? I think the governor there has allowed some opening up to begin, so it's very possible by August that they'll be, they may be open to doing a convention. Although you got to wonder how many people are going to feel comfortable going. But like I said, I'm going. If they have it, I'm going. All right. I'm going to mess with his hair first instead of last. Do some cross hatching in here, at least enough to give us a separation between his gray hair and his darker hair. Although if you gave Reed Richards an eye patch, he'd look exactly like Nick Fury, right? Or at least the old Nick Fury. But I guess thanks to Brian Hitchin, Ultimate Avengers, that Nick Fury is now pretty much owned by Samuel L. Jackson. You take all the moviegoers that went and saw the Marvel movies but don't read comics, and you showed them Nick Fury, they'd be like, what? Although I assume now that Nick Fury in the comics too, since Disney's one big happy family, that he's looks like Samuel L. Jackson as well. But that doesn't explain what happened to the old Nick Fury, does it? I'm sure they did explain that, but I haven't read any Marvel books in quite a long time, so I don't know. I want you guys to know that I'm like really close to paying off my printing bill on these. So if you're still feeling bad about that and really want to help me out, feel free to order one of these books and help me get there. I'm like, I think I have to sell. Well, if I sold just ones with sketches in them, which is pretty much all I'm selling these days, I think I need to sell, I'm trying to remember. I think just 6 more, I think. And I've broken even on my printing bill. So that's pretty good considering I've only been able to go to one show this entire con season because of the disease infestation. Yeah, the cigar is probably too long. It's like one of those, sleeker or stylistic cigars. Not one of those big old fat stogies that J. Jonah Jameson used to smoke or chew on or whatever he was doing. They should like have the all smokers comic, it'd be like the old Nick Fury, Howard the Duck, Wolverine before he gave it up, J. Jonah Jameson. It could be like an Avengers comic almost. I'm going to be doing Black Canary after this. Been thinking, man, I got to get some new content. Just sketching and sketchbooks all the time's got to be getting a little repetitive, but I do have a Batman sketch cover I'm supposed to do, but I haven't really figured out what I want to do on it yet, so that's why I'm doing these sketchbooks instead of that. I really passionately hate doing sketch covers just because there's so little room actually on the cover. And it's hard to work around that logo and everything else. And I'm going to go in here and cross-hatch this eye patch. All right, I need to switch this because I want to do a little bit. This pen's about had it anyway. Excuse my reach. I'm going to go with a 0.3 and do a little detailing in here. Actually, when I do these online, I tend to put probably a little more detail than, well, I don't know if I do or not. Well, maybe. I put a little more detail on it because I've got an audience watching, so I don't bail on them too soon. But I think I've actually done a pretty reasonable job of putting the same amount of work or a fair amount of work into every one of these that I do for people so they don't feel like they're getting gypped. Man, I haven't had a comment in a long time. You guys can still hear me, right? Just give me a thumbs up or something. Somebody, you can still hear me. Thank you. What are we going to do? I probably said this before, but when you're working on guys, especially someone like Nick Fury or somebody of that nature, it's like you can put a lot more line work and stuff on their faces and stuff because you can just sort of rough them up a little bit, and it sort of suits their character. Where obviously you want to be, when you're doing a female face, it's a little bit more delicate operation, which we'll see in a minute because I'm going to switch from this to Black Canary in just a couple of minutes. Nick Fury, he's too cool to shave. You know, when I was in college, like in the 80s when Miami Vice was like the thing, somebody came out with a shaver that you could shave your face, but it still gave you, but it left you with just a little beard stubble, right? So you could look like Don Johnson basically. And they called it the Miami Device. uh, I never actually bought one, but I was aware of it. I got a kick out of that, the old Miami Device. I assume it was an electric shaver, but I don't know. I never actually bought one, but all right, we're closing in on completion. I just want to do, there we go. Got some laughs from the crowd on that. And I'm not making that up either. That was actually what it was called. All right, so this is when he had that kind of black superhero suit on. But so I'm going to have to indicate some black down here, or it's going to look like he's wearing a t-shirt, which, you know, Nick Fury's, you know, certainly a guy who probably would wear a t-shirt at times, but it's not really what we're going for here. So again, we'll scribble, but scribble in a controlled manner. Do it in a crosshatch. For those of you who don't know, I can't use like a thick black Copic marker just to like to do his hair and stuff because it bleeds through the paper. And I don't want big bleed through spots on the other side of this, even though it's just the end papers. It looks pretty crappy. You know, someone opens up their book and there's a bleed through on it. So if I do it with these lighter pens, these thinner pens and crosshatch, it prevents the bleed through. All right, here we go. Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay. Do his tips here real quick to reinforce that this is dark hair up here. See, that's the thing. Even when you do supposedly doing a quick sketch or a cheaper sketch, it always comes down to the art, to the single piece. And it's like, I don't care what I'm charging. I do what I have to do to make sure that the piece looks good regardless. So there we go. At least looks as good as I can make it look. That's always sort of argumentative in how good that actually is. But certainly open for debate. Just don't do it to my face. Do it behind my back so I can't hear you when you're discussing the actual validity of my work. Because Nick Fury will get pissed if if you don't say nice things about me. All right. Okay, now it's done. There we go. Amazing. Nick Fury. I'm really going to miss it when it's not 2020 anymore. Not only because will be a year older, but and at my age, it's kind of like a year older is not a good thing. And but I'm going to miss writing 2020 after the drawings. It's kind of fun. After the signature, I mean. All right, that was for George Cole. George gets marked off the list. He's number 128. So these have been on sale since December, so I've sold almost 130 copies. That's not too bad, considering I've been doing it all mail order. some annoying sound effects for you, me blowing on the signature so it doesn't bleed. All right, so we move to the next, which is going to be Black Canary. Ooh, crackle of a brand new book. I say that every time, you know, but it's true. I'm going to smell it. God, that is the greatest smell in the world. Well, there's old comics is a great smell, and then like brand new printed book, opening it up. Oh, love it. Okay. All right, so we're going to, oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, there's some comments. Oh, there's been a bunch of comments. I just, oh yeah. Remember to scroll down so you can read the comments. Let's see, Randy, it's the same super soldier serum Captain America took. Fury just wasn't given the Vita rays that oh, I see. I didn't know that. Okay. So Benjamin Lee's giving me a Seattle update. They reopened the parks with limitations. However, the new park ban regulations to keep moving, no crowd gatherings, right? Okay. They still banned all fishing? That doesn't make any sense. I guess they figure people congregate in fishing holes. I don't know. It's too bad. Let's see. Randy says the Valkyrie of my day was a lot different than the movie version. That's true. Warren Montgomery, yes, I lose sleep every night hoping you get the print debt paid. Yeah, no. Okay. James Stone, Ben Grimm. I can't remember what we were talking about when you put that comment. I forgot to scroll these, so I'm catching up on what you guys wrote. The Thing loves a good cigar as well. That's right. He'd be in the cigar squad or the smoking squad or whatever it is. I like the Stranko Fury look. My favorite version of Fury. Yeah, me too. But then again, that's just because that's what I grew up on. You know, I think we're all sort of jaded by what we were first exposed to in these characters. You got to meet Stranko at a SummerCon last year in June. The man was a class act. Asked for a photo with him, and he got serious. Ben, I only take photos with beautiful women. You know, I believe that. He is he's a very interesting guy and has some amazing stories. I hope most of them are true, but it doesn't really matter because they're so good. Yes, I see, Charlie. Can you see my comment, Aaron? Because people have been commenting. Yeah, I forgot to scroll down, so that's on me. James Stone, I believe almost anything from the 80s. Yeah, well. Benjamin Lee wants to know how things are down in Oregon. Well, if you saw that map they put up when they were, talking about the phases of reopening the country, Washington, amazingly enough, is green, where Oregon is still yellow, but the cases have been dropping, like from 80 a day down to 60 a day, down to 50. So it looks like we're on the downside of that. We only have, I think, less than 2,000 cases total. So it's not like it's been, an epidemic, but I know, unfortunately, a retirement home in down south of us just got hit. Like everybody in there's got it now. So that sort of bumped up the averages. It's amazing how often these nursing homes, that virus makes its way into these nursing homes. Anyway, okay, enough of talk about that. We get that all the day, right? All day long in the news. So we'll talk about comics. Comics are fun. All right, Black Canary, here we go. It's really kind of funny when you do some of these female characters that don't have masks. They all, depending on their hair color, pretty much look the same. So you have to look for little, things you can put in the sketch that's going to help identify who that character is. And I just remembered Black Canary has that black choker that she wears. So that's going to be what we determine that makes her Black Canary. Because I don't even know. how much her hair changes, you know. I always did her with bangs, so that's how I'm doing her in this one. Let's see. Dario Britton Carrasco joined. Thank you. Chris Alvarez joined. Sage Kemp and John G. Pierce joined. They're teaming up. Robson Roca joined. And Barbara Dale joined. Thank you all. You know, I had some followers on Twitter that are not on Facebook. So they were sort of like, can you do your live feeds on YouTube so we can watch them? I was like, yeah, okay, I'll start doing that. And the program for doing the live feeds on YouTube is much more, how should we say, sophisticated than the Facebook Live one that's sort of built in that I use. So I can do like banners and scrolls and things like that on this other one when I'm doing YouTube. But what I find is there's just a lot more people on YouTube just kind of browsing around. And so if you're doing a live feed and they see it, they'll just drop in and check it out. Whereas YouTube, people actually, that's a terrible mouth, people actually have to make the effort to go over to YouTube and kind of find the feed. So I get like 5 times as many viewers on a Facebook Live than I do on a YouTube Live. So I'm going to be doing more of these Facebook ones because it seems like I'm reaching a wider audience, at least numbers-wise, on Facebook. And I've always been I'm not a big Twitter guy. I mean, I'm on there because I have to be, but Facebook to me is where I started on social media. And I remember my kids were on Facebook and they were all ticked off that like the older people were figuring out how to use Facebook and sort of like taking it over. And so then they all bailed on that and went to Twitter, and then they bailed on that and went to Instagram. So now we're taking over Instagram too. So why now do a stream on drawing a Kit Carter or Garbage Man page since you can't show any? I'm going to do that, Warren. You're always like, you have these great ideas, but you're always one step behind me. I am going to do that actually, but the problem right now is I keep getting, and it may just be because of the quarantine and everybody's home, but I'm getting so many sketch requests and, you know, books and things like this to do that it's taking up all my spare time is doing those. And I'm not going to pass those up. I don't do the commissions that much except for when I'm doing an Aaron con that replaces a con that I was supposed to be at anyway. But I do want to, I need to, you know, change things up a little bit and not just do these sketches all the time, but actually like work on a page. I mean, that would be an epic show though, because that's, you know, that's a lot of work, but and I'd have to engage my wife to work the camera for me. Although she doesn't want to be on camera, but she does want to tell stories. So I could have her work the camera and tell stories to keep us all entertained while I'm doing that. But I am going to do that. I am going to do that. Because I've got the next Kit Carter episode is actually laid out and partially penciled, and I should just get in there and finish that so you can letter it. And by you, I mean Warren Montgomery does the lettering on the Kit Carter strips for me. And then get it up on my webpage so everybody can read it. That'd be kind of the... well, she's got kind of a black leather jacket thing, so I can do the collar up here too, I think. All righty, looks good enough to me. Let's ink it. Let's see. James Stone says, I love Mike Grell's Canary. Adam Garland joined us. Thanks, Adam, for stopping by. Bert Van Vliet, hi, Aaron. Hope all is well down there. It is. I hope all is well up there. Not the whole page, just a panel or two. Yeah, I hear you, man. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Maybe the next time I live stream, I'll work on that. The thing is, when I'm doing a page and stuff, there's so much pressure because it's like you don't want to do a lot of erasing because you want to put out the, the air, the facade that you're actually this great artist who just lays stuff down and you never have to erase, and that ain't the truth, especially on pages. You can get away with it on sketches a little bit, but generally not on my page art. And the first panel, it's got perspective in it. Yuck. So okay, here's an idea. Let's see what you guys, since I got a bunch of people in here, what do you think about this? I've got several IPs that I wouldn't mind doing something with. And I've actually done a video, actually a fairly entertaining video as far as those go, on YouTube. So you should check it out, where I discuss my, basically my universe, the Lopresti verse, I think I called it on the video. And I was thinking about doing, you remember the old Warren magazines, like Creepy and Eerie and things like that. And I was thinking of doing a magazine, and I mean magazine sized, not just comic book sized, but magazine sized. And again, maybe I'm overthinking this, but and having the Garbage Man story that I have written in there, doing a Kit Carter story in there, doing 4 or 5 different stories in there, short stories, featuring these different IPs, and maybe trying to crowdfund it or something. I don't know how else I would do it. I mean, maybe through Image. But I'm just kind of curious if. And then I was actually toying with the idea of doing a black and white magazine as opposed to a full color magazine, and I wondered if that was a big deal to people anymore. Because if you do, if you do nice detailed work and stuff in black and white, it looks really nice. And I don't know how married to color people still are these days, or if they'd be willing to take a look at a well-drawn, put together black and white book. Because the thing with crowdfunding is most people are successful in the sense that they have a very low fixed goal that basically pays for the printing and the shipping, and then they're basically planning on doing the story for free and hope that anything they make beyond that, they can pay themselves a little bit of money for the work. That doesn't appeal to me that much. Because I'm still working on stuff for DC, and so it's really hard to say, okay, I'm going to take 2 or 3 months off and just work on this creator-owned thing when you're not making any money on it, and then you still got bills to pay and all that kind of stuff. So that's been my challenge, and that's why Garbage Man failed, is because I asked, I had a goal of $35,000, but that was so I could pay people to actually help me do it and get it done in a fair amount of time. But I may have to rethink that strategy. But if I do, I would never crowdfund without the work already being done. If I was not going to get paid to do it, I would have to do the stuff in my spare time, and then when I got it actually done, then I would crowdfund, and that way you're not making people wait 8 months or 2 years for you to do something on the side after they've already paid for it. So we'll see. I mean, I have a lot of stuff bouncing around in my head right now to see if any of it actually comes to fruition. So I got Bert Van Vliet is on board with black and white. So that's one person. Gonna need a few more though, I think, to actually make it work. And I was like, I always thought it would be kind of fun to do like a Kit Carter adventure magazine and sort of kind of do the cover like an old EC sci-fi vibe to it. Although I don't know how many people would actually get that, because you'd have to be like my age or older, or someone who's really into comics to get the nostalgia of it all. All right, I'm being much more diligent about checking the messages here. There, Warren just dropped a Lopresti verse YouTube video link. There you go. Josh Olive joined us from down south someplace. He says black and white done well is always very compelling. The thing, though, I mean, to be honest with you, the cost, yeah, you save some money by not doing color, but it's minimal compared to what the real expense is, and that's, quite frankly, paying the talent is what's expensive. So, but doing an anthology book allows me to get a lot of IPs out there in a single publication, as opposed to doing them as multiple projects. And so that's the appeal to it, me as well, as doing sort of an anthology magazine, even though I know that anthologies don't do well. They used to sell really well. Now they don't sell at all. I don't understand that. I guess because they're generally genre specific. And so if you do a anthology, sci-fi anthology, you got to be a sci-fi fan, or if it's a superhero anthology, you got to be a superhero fan, blah blah blah. Where if I did an anthology, my IPs are very varied, very varied. Eclectic, maybe would be the word I want to use. So you'd be getting multiple genres in one book. And again, I don't know if that would be helpful or a hindrance. That's the problem. Everything's a bit of a crapshoot. You take your chances and hope for the best. What I'd really like to do is license John Carter of Mars and do a John Carter of Mars comic strip. You want to talk about, or a comic book. You want to talk about Recipe for Failure, but man, that would be fun. And I got to think that getting the license for that would not be hard, considering it, every time someone does it, it fails. So, but we like to tell ourselves, you know what? It's because they didn't do it the way I would do it. All right, Black Canary. That turned out pretty solidly. At least I don't have to color her hair in because she's blonde. Let's see, David Renshaw joined. Warren Montgomery, I'm cheap. Josh Olive loves the idea of an anthology book. They sell pretty well at my shop. Okay. Well, give me a for instance of a anthology book you're selling. The beauty of self-publishing is doing the kind of stories you like. Well, yeah, of course, but if no one buys it, though, your publishing career is going to end pretty quickly. So you have to be. I mean, there's truth in that. It's like you should always do what you love and then hope for the best, because that's the only way you're really going to succeed anyway. But that's certainly no guarantee of success either. So, but I do think there's ways I can make a go of getting that garbage man material out there Like I said, all I have to do is 15, well, actually it's about 13. That news story is only 13 or 14 pages. I have to go back and look again. And I do have a really great little epilogue I wanted to add on to it that might make it 15. And then I'd have to do all the pages to replace the Batman content that's in there, which would be about 7 more total pages. So, I'm talking about 21, 22 pages total, which is basically a single issue of a comic, which again, I could do in a month if I wasn't working on anything else. And if I'm doing it for free, I got to be working on something else, because then I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. So it takes longer. Okay, all right. I'm going to quit noodling on her. I think she looks pretty good. Black Canary. There we go. Okay. Oop, a bunch more comments here. Anthologies do well in prose books. A lot of them are cross genre. One was just called Warriors. One was called Dangerous Women. Genre didn't matter as long as it dealt with warriors or women, respectively. Oh, okay. But that was a prose book, not a comic book, right? Bert Van Vliet looks awesome. Thank you. Got to agree with you on John Carter of Mars. It always seems to fall flat, never sells. Well, we know that. Could I get a book with a Timberwolf head sketch? Tyler, you can. Not during this show, however. But I will. If you you can PayPal me the $45 at aaron@aaronlopresti.com, and just put in the notes that you want a Timberwolf head sketch in the book, and make sure I have your mailing address. And I can probably get to it this weekend and get it out on Tuesday. So that's all you have to do. In fact, let me do this. Bear with me for a second. I'm going to type this in. Did it show up? Yeah, it is. Okay, so if you look, Tyler, if you look down, like a couple comments, you got aaron@aaronlopresti.com. That's my PayPal address, as well as my email address. So you just send the money that $45, and I will do a Timberwolf for you in there. I got to check, see what number this is. We're going to do one more and call it good for the day. But this is for James Dietrich. And that's number 129. And now I'm going to do Cable. How about that? I've never drawn Cable in my life, except in when I did What The as a humor story, but for Marvel like 30 years ago. But what'd I say? 129? 129's in there. I guess I have to sign this too to sort of authenticate it. Okay. And again, there we are, complete, Black Canary, ready to rock and roll. All right, we'll set that over there. We got some more joiners. John Fletcher, Pasquini, and Brad Voth joined. Excellent, thank you. That Black Canary is gorgeous. Thanks, Josh, I appreciate it. Oh, I was going to say, am I out of books? I can't be out of books. Ah, there it is, the other one right there. Actually, I'm nowhere near out of books. I got boxes of them, but I just meant sitting by the computer within reach. Okay, so what did I say I'm drawing? I'm drawing Cable. Wow. I'm going to have a drink of water for that. I got to go out and get a new fridge filter too, or water filters. Needs to be replaced. It's Home Depot, here I come. I'm going to put my mask on and head out. All right, we're going to have a slight pause in the action as I look up my Cable reference. I bet if I type in Cable, something like cable TV will come up, or like a electrical cable or something, so I guess I better put Cable Marvel X-Men, right? Let's see what comes up. There he is, good old Cable. Oh, that's right, he's got like his eyes messed up or something. One of his eyes is messed up, is what I was trying to say. He has a scar on it. Yeah, there's a Rob Liefeld drawing. I'm not going to look at that. I can't really. Ooh, there's Dale Keown. Dale's good. Dale Keown, now there's a guy. I love his stuff. Thought Pitt was great, even though it was, you know, it was kind of Hulk-like, but that's still fine. I mean, it was, his stuff on Hulk was great, and then he did Pitt, which I thought was really, really great. He doesn't do that much anymore. I guess he does some covers now and again, but okay, so really, and Cable's outfits depend on which version of Cable you're drawing. Okay, back on so I can see what I'm doing. Gotta do a three-quarter shot here, but at least enough showing his eyes so that you can show the one that's scarred up. So it's kind of like an X scar on it. Is that right? Am I understanding that correctly? Hey, Aaron, who is the most difficult character to draw? I'll tell you who's a pain in the butt to draw is Carnage, okay, for obvious reasons. Yeah, so he's got like an X scar on his face, right? Or is it more than that? Is it three-pronged or just two-pronged? Oh, it's three, isn't it? Kind of like a star. No, wait a minute, there's that black. I can't tell. Every version is like different, you know, that's what ticks me off. What did Jim Lee do here? He used to just have the one scar on his face, and now it's like three. It almost looks like a star on his face. Am I even close to interpreting that correctly? Hey, Don Korn joined. Hey, Don, welcome. Yeah, I mean, everybody always has like their own version of these characters. There's no consistency. Back in the good old days, these guys kept track of this stuff and made sure they were consistent with their looks. Now it's like whoever draws them kind of takes artistic liberty. I mean, you can stylistically take artistic liberty, but gee, many Christmas, can we stay consistent with the other stuff? Let's see, Adam Garland looking great already. Well, thank you. I used to love Dale Keown's art. It was so organic and powerful. He disappeared for a long time, but his stuff now looks very stiff. He's lost a lot of the organic feel, which breaks my heart. I have a page of his Incredible Hulk. Ooh. Yeah, I think he does. I think what he's doing is his stuff, he's not inking his stuff. It's all being shot from his pencils. When you do that, it has to be super tight and super clean. So my guess is, without having talked to him, I don't know, but my guess is, having done it myself on Amethyst, you draw the piece and then you go in and light table it and then kind of retrace it so that all the sketch stuff and underdrawing is gone and you just have the finished line work. And as a result, that tends to stiffen stuff up and sort of make it look more porcelain and less organic, which is probably what you're referring to. So there's actually something to be said for not being too much of a perfectionist when you're drawing this stuff, because you can overwork your art to a point that, you know, in some ways it's perfect, but in other ways you kind of work the life out of it and it becomes less appealing to look at, even though it's sort of in every other way, you know, perfect. But see, I'm like that with oil painting. I prefer guys that are a little bit looser and see there's some texture to the work as opposed to, super slick and refined. Like some of Boris's stuff is a little too slick for me. Not all of it. His earlier stuff back in the 70s I liked a lot, but I much prefer the energy of like a Frazetta painting. Than something that's just, perfectly rendered. Does both his eyes glow, or does he have pupil in one of those eyes? Now, see, he used to back like in New Mutants in '87, for example. Here Comes a Man Called Cable. He had like this eye was glowing, this eye was scarred, and this eye was glowing. So should I just go classic Liefeld and go back the way the character was originally made to look? I think I will. What the heck? I mean, there's been so many incarnations of it. It's like, how am I even supposed to know what's right? Oh, there's a pop figure that has it has his left eye glowing and a 3-pronged scar over his right eye. So there you go. Okay, so this eye is going to glow, and this one's going to have a pupil in it, whether it's supposed to or not, because that's how it was originally done. And I'm nothing if I'm not an originalist. So yeah, so he's going to have glowing here. That's what we're going to do. We'll cast a little bit of a shadow over here. In some ways he looks a little, right now he's looking a little too handsome. I really pictured Cable sort of a rugged, sort of beat up G.I. Joe kind of looking guy. A lot of people really like that one actor who was in Avatar, the general guy, who's like be a perfect Cable, which I can't disagree with. All right, let's see what happens when we throw a little ink on him. Actually, you know what? I did do way back in the early 90s when I was trying to get superhero work at Marvel. I did do a sample page with Cable and Wolverine on it. They were fighting in a sewer. I can't remember exactly what the circumstances were that made me do that. But, I mean, some guy, this is the funny story. So, I was at this Seattle show back in the 90s, and John Smith joined. Hello, John. Yeah, Jerome. Nick Fury and Cable both have the missing eye. What's the connection? Karsten Lang joined. Thank you. That sounds like a reasonable explanation of the change in connections. Okay. I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh, okay. So I did these sample pages, and I had them with me at this show in Seattle. And I don't know if someone was looking at them or what happened, but somehow I left one of the pages behind. I got home and it was gone. I was like, my first thought was somebody stole it, right? And but then some guy got in contact with me and said, "Hey, I've got your page. I think he accidentally took it, with a bunch of other stuff he had or whatever." And so I said, "Oh, great. Can you send it to me?" And so he took an original page, like 11 by 17 original page, right? Stuck it in an envelope, a bubble wrap envelope, and mailed it to me. And that was it. Like no cardboard or anything. I was like, seriously? And so it showed up and it was just mangled. And it was just like, dude, first you accidentally steal my artwork and then you're not even smart enough to put a couple pieces of cardboard in there. Oh. And I mean, I guess there's people out there who've never actually mailed anything of value, so they wouldn't know that. But to me, that seems like common sense. You know, that if you don't put cardboard in there, it's going to get bent. I mean, heck, it gets bent half the time with cardboard. All right, we're going to go down to a 3 here, do a little detail work. Yeah, the Josh Olive says the fight in the sewer led to the sludge and garbage man. Well, it definitely appealed to my sensibilities, I guess. He has this scar in his eye, but his eye isn't put out. It's like a cat scratch him or something. Speaking of which, that was the dumbest thing in Captain Marvel. It wasn't, well, it was one of the dumb things in Captain Marvel. I didn't like that movie. But having Nick Fury get his eye scratched out by a cat was perhaps the stupidest, most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life. You know, if you disagree with me, then of course your opinion is as valid as mine. But I thought that was pretty stupid. John Smith, hey, Aaron. Hey, well, you're probably responding to me saying hey to you. So, hey, back to you again. And it's going to go on forever. Have you ever thought of shaping clay models of cable? I know that can be hard because it's not the same as sketching. I have, if I was going to do a sculpture, first thing I would do would be Man-Thing. It's true. I would. I just haven't had time, but I have thought about it. It's something I'd like to do. But, you know, when you're constantly trying to make a living, which is what I've found myself doing the last 35 years, you know, except for the time I was at CrossGen where I sort of, you know, and I knew I didn't have job security in the sense that it was going to be long lasting. I knew that place would go under because it was an unsustainable business model. But when I was there, I was on salary. I was only required to work 5 days a week. And so I actually didn't work the weekends for like a year. It was the first time in my life that I had ever done that and could actually have like sort of a normal life. But oh yeah, I've been for years. I've got garage kits up on my shelf, model kits of like Creature of the Black Lagoon and The Mummy that are partially put together. And that's just a model kit, right? I mean, I'm nowhere even close to getting them finished and painted. So someday, though, someday. And put a little more line work on him to sort of rough him up a little bit. It's a bit like he's posing for a graduation picture. I mean, you know, if you were pissed off at your graduation during your graduation picture, that's kind of what it looks like. But did Cable ever smoke a cigar? Could he be in our Smoking Avengers team? And he's like Franklin Richards from the future, right? Isn't that his shtick? Flurkin. I don't know what that means. Yes, Man Thing is underused and underappreciated. Oh, I've got a great Man Thing one shot. You know, one of the there's a couple reasons why I left Marvel and went to DC, but I really want to do this Man Thing one shot where he's abducted by aliens, and they start messing with his, you know, because aliens do experiments on the people they capture, right? And so they like experiment on him, and they activated his brain basically, so he was, you know, was thinking and intelligent, kind of like a Flowers for Algernon story, where he gains intelligence but only temporarily, and basically gains. And there's this this other woman who is captured, and so he has to save her. So it's kind of this Beauty and the Beast thing, only from his standpoint. Obviously, she's not like going, "Ooh, Man Thing, you're so hot," but he saves her basically, and as his newfound intelligence is waning. So that would have been a really good story. And they were like, "Yeah, we'll do it. We can do it." And they would just never do it. And so it kind of got irritated. That's not the main reason I left, though. All right, let's start to come together. I know now you're all going, "Well, why did you leave, Aaron?" And you brought it up, but I'm not going to say it because I don't want to. I had a conflict with one person there that I don't like bad mouthing people even if they deserve it, and this guy definitely deserved it, but. Let's see. Ooh, a lot of comments. I'm pretty sure Cable has smoked a cigar in some comics. I'm pretty sure he has too. You had me with a Man Thing one shot with aliens. Double down with Flowers of Algernon reference. I know. Well, at least you get it. Um, he's Scott and Maddie's son taken to the future. Oh, really? What? Wait a minute. So Scott, like, um, Cyclops, right? And Maddie would be. I don't know who Maddie is. Come on, John, help me out. And where does Franklin Richards fit into all this? Didn't he come back as somebody? I don't know. Madeline Pryor? Is that who? Is she like one of the Phoenixes or something? I am like, dude, X-Men is not my forte. That was the one book I never read. Okay, this is almost done. In fact, it probably is done. I'm just adding stuff to kill time. I'm giving somebody a chance to answer me that. The Cable question. Because John Smith said it's Scott and Maddie's, so okay, wait a minute. Madeline Pryor, okay. Right, but wait a minute. Who's Madeline Pryor? Is that Oh, the Jean Grey look like. Okay, right. The Jean clone. Right. Okay. Yep. Oh, the Goblin Queen during Silvestri's run. Okay. All right. Okay, here's even a more challenging question for you X-Men guys. Why does Mr. Sinister look exactly like Colossus? Can anyone answer that? I figured there had to be a reason, but maybe there wasn't. Maybe Mark was just like, I kind of like this design. I'll just sort of do a riff on it. And but I always thought that was sort of strange. So I always thought that they were somehow connected because they looked so much alike, but it may be just that that may just been Silvestri being a little lazy in his designs. I don't know. All right. I think we're going to call that good. There he is. He still kind of looks like a G.I. Joe action figure, doesn't he? But I'll be all right with that. So there's Cable. I'm going to sign this. The little 2020. Let's double check our number here. Okay, that was for Lindy Drury. I picked up, okay, I didn't pick her up, but I picked up the order last night during my Friday night auction show at with Mike Miller's show on YouTube. Okay, so that's, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bang the camera. That's number 130. How about that? A nice round number. We'll put that in here. Okay, and as it has been recommended to me by several people, including Warren Montgomery, I want to give him a shout out, when he gives me good ideas, that I should do a regular weekly show instead of just kind of randomly doing it whenever. So yes, I'm going to do that. Although I don't know what day it is, so I guess it's still going to be random, but I'll do one at least once a week at the same time, and we'll see how it evolves. But next one I will, unless I have a ton more sketchbooks like this to do, I think maybe we will spend a little time working on my Kit Carter strip that has been sitting over there for literally 3 months now, partially penciled, and see if we can get that thing moving along and get it done. Yeah. Okay, we got any parting shots here? Good question. Whoever drawing Colossus had to be the same person who drew Sinister. G.I. Joe rules. Any chance of doing a G.I. Joe book? There's no chance, Josh, because I hate drawing guns and like tanks and stuff like that. They just take me forever. I'm more of a monster jungle comic kind of guy. James Stone, he's like Mirror Universe Spock. He's evil because of the goatee. That's pretty funny. And I'm a huge Star Trek fan, so I get it. All right. There it is. Again. Number 130. Looks like Conan's about ready to run him through the head with his sword, but it's a tiny Conan, so does he have enough strength to kill Cable? I don't think he does. All right, so I'm going to close the book on this episode. Let me zoom out so you're not, when I pull this back up to me, you don't have this terrifying close-up. Hey, there I am in all my gray-haired, bald glory. All right, so anyway, there you have it. Thanks for joining me again, as usual. I appreciate everybody stopping by and checking out what I'm doing. Again, if you would like to get one of these sketchbooks, this is a much more attractive image than my face anyway. One of these sketchbooks, hardcover, 64 pages, full color. You can get one if you don't want to sketch in it. It's $25. If you want to sketch in it, it's $45. PayPal me at aaron@aaronlopresti.com. Make sure you mention what sketch of who you want in the book. and then I will do it and get it shipped out to you if I have your mailing address and that information. It's that simple. So, or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can always message me on Facebook or email me at aaron@aaronlopresti.com, or message me through Instagram or Twitter or whatever. But I assume if you're watching this that you're on Facebook, so that's probably the easiest way to message me. In fact, it's better to message me than it is to email me, because then I don't have to check my spam folder. Because I'm on Facebook fairly regularly, as most of you are probably aware. So there you have it. Again, thank you for joining me, and we'll be doing this again real soon. So appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.